I want to educate you on you. I want to empower you in times of adversity, and I want to equip you to heal yourself because you can. Welcome to season 1 of my podcast, Unshrinkable. Hi, I'm Emily Katz. My guest and I are here to help you find what works for you beyond traditional therapy and mainstream meds. Hello, everyone. I am so excited to introduce our beautiful guest today, Jara. Jara is a money mindset coach and hypnotherapist and RTT practitioner. RTT is Rapid Transformational Therapy by Marissa Peer, for those of you who are interested. She specializes in helping female coaches clear their money blocks and unlock their earning potential. With a mission to empower women to create freedom and wealth, Jara is dedicated to enabling women to live happier lives and make a positive impact on the world. Beautiful. Today, we are diving into the topic of money trauma and money blocks, exploring how they impact our lives and how to align with the energy of prosperity and riches. Yes, please. Jara's clients have experienced incredible transformations, such as bringing in significant new income, securing their first paid coaching clients, and increasing their bookings as soon as within 24 hours of a session. Get ready for an enlightening conversation that will help you break through your financial barriers and step into the prosperous version of yourself. Let's dive in. So, Jara, please introduce yourself and specifically how you got here doing what you do.
Yeah. Hi, Emily. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for this beautiful introduction. And I'm really excited to be here and have this conversation about my favorite topic, my passion. So yeah, you introduced me already. I live with my family in Germany. I've got 2 kids. And as I said, I'm absolutely passionate about this whole topic of mindset and energy around money. First of all, I grew up with this main energy and energy and mindset around money of there is not enough. We don't have enough. We don't make enough money. Like in my childhood, we really didn't have enough. The oldest of 3, and when I was born, my father was still studying, so there was a lot of scarcity. And that is what I experienced throughout my entire childhood. My mother really had deep anxiety and desperation that we don't have enough. So these fears, I took them on from her, of course. And my father, I remember situations that when bills came in, that he took these and put them in a drawer of his desks and just closed it and just smiled and said, "We'll be fine." And later on, I realized and discovered that actually that was a denial, because it was too painful for him to really look at how the situation was, that he couldn't afford what he wanted for us. And so that really impacted me. And in my adult life, I had all different situations. Like I really had times of financial freedom, I can really say that. And I had times of scarcity and not enough. And especially when my son was born 9 years ago, actually, that's when I went through a really difficult time, and somehow all my fears and money blocks and everything showed up again. And I mean, I've been into personal development my entire adult life, interested in, meditation, psychology, human behavior, spirituality, like Buddhism as well, like all these amazing topics. But then somehow, 9 years ago, the shadow sides really started to show up, and that's when I started to dive into particularly the fears, the scarcity pattern, and my money blocks, and really became more aware what the money blocks actually are, and where they came from. And then 5 years ago, I started to get trained in hypnosis. I did 2 different courses here in Germany, and then I did the training with Marissa Peer to become a rapid transformational therapy practitioner, and got a lot of sessions myself for my own healing. And that is when I started to really shift my thinking, my energy as well, out of this anxiety and these feelings that, the supply might end and that I have to hold on to money and things, because I felt like, oh, what if nothing comes in tomorrow or next week or next month? That was really huge for me. Yeah, and then I started my business 4 years ago, and I started with helping women with confidence, self-worth. I wasn't into the money topic yet because I still had a lot of work to do on that. But then I discovered in the first 1.5 years of business that really, if we want to build our business, like people, if you become a coach or an entrepreneur, you can't bypass this topic of money. And also, yeah, just in our everyday life, no matter what you do, your money story just influences every area of your life. And it doesn't matter, our relationships, our health, how we care for ourselves, traveling, freedom, whatever it is, education, literally all areas in our life are influenced by our financial situation, of course. And behind that is our relationship to money.
It's crazy. And thank you. Thank you very much for sharing your journey and touching upon all these things. And it really is becoming even more apparent to me how much our money stories and our money blocks and our money, our beliefs around money really do affect us. And it's funny, I really do feel that there are quite a few women business owners and coaches that start with confidence and self-worth and that kind of
Yes.
stuff, and then they kind of shift into money. Let's talk about money. Yeah. I mean, as someone who's also in online business, we really do see how becoming a business owner, it's so tied into your money stories. But I think that just in general, having this awareness around your money blocks and your money beliefs, it's so helpful to reduce anxiety and to increase confidence and self-worth, regardless if you have a business or not, right? I think it goes so beyond that. It really does impact every aspect of our lives. I mean, I know quite a few people as well who just so negatively impacted by scarcity and their scarcity stories. I've had, a few clients recently as well, really talking around that specific piece. If my financial situation was different, then I would be happy. Then my life would look different. I would have access to these resources. I would be able to do these things differently. It's that the money is the thing that's keeping me stuck and that's keeping me sick and that's keeping me, And so I do feel that this is a very, very important topic that really does warrant, some conversation. And so I'm very much looking forward to anything that you can share about this, because I really believe that so many people can benefit from this work that you're doing.
Yes,
tell us a little bit about money trauma and money blocks.
Yeah, so I would say that 95% of our money blocks, they really come from our childhood. Because, for example, Marissa Peer, she says that our money mindset, like the way we relate to money and our money beliefs, is actually set by the age of 5. So in the first 5 years, we have the deepest, strongest impact on our relationship to money. And of course, as children, we are like sponges. We soak up everything that is there, and especially the energy. And I mean, our thoughts, our feelings, the vibration, it's all energy. And children, they take it all in. So that's why it's also very important to look at the relationship to money from our parents. Because if there is scarcity thinking or, anxiety around money, all these worries, all these tension, parents can't hide that from their children. It is there. And they will also show it and express it in some ways. I mean, the parents, for example, if as a child you just want to have some simple things, it can be just an ice cream or cookies, or you want another toy, and maybe you get scolded for wanting too much. What do you think where we get the money from? Do you think money grows on trees or things like that? That can cause a trauma, because it always depends on how is the emotional connection to the experience. But as children, we are very sensitive, and such situations can really hit a child in a way that it stays a trauma. And then usually some other similar situations build on that, and that's how a pattern gets created, and also a trauma. And then later on as an adult, it might be difficult to ask for money, because back then you had these experiences. And I mean, most of these are subconscious. They are hidden. We are not aware of that until we really do that deep inner work. Or, if in childhood, I know many have experienced that money is kind of a taboo topic, and they didn't speak much about it. And it was there was this secrecy around money, and it's like something uncomfortable, something, you shouldn't touch this topic. That can cause a lot of guilt and shame around money, because it's something you shouldn't touch on, something you shouldn't actually deal with, you shouldn't look at,
I'm trying to think earlier memories, and I remember until the age of 5 or 7, we were very, very tight for money.
Yeah.
And I remember we go to this secondhand store in England. It's called Oxfam, and I remember I got like one of those bomber jackets, like a bomber jacket from there. I remember, and it was £5. I'll never forget it. And I remember I was so proud. Oh, we got this jacket for £5. That was so cool. I would tell people that, yeah, it's £5 from Oxfam. And my mum would be like, no, don't tell people. No, like,
Yeah.
don't tell anyone. And I was just like, why? Like, that's
Yeah.
so awesome. And today, you know, someone will like compliment me. It was like €4. I don't care. But I remember my mum was very much like, don't tell anyone.
So behind that was probably her feeling maybe ashamed, you know, feeling guilty, feeling uncomfortable that maybe that she didn't do it better, that she didn't manage to bring the family or her children or her finances into a better situation. And that behind, as a child, you wouldn't be aware of, but the energy still stays with you. You know, it still influences you. Yeah. And so when it comes to money trauma, we really have to go deep. We really have to look at our childhood and also into our parents' relationship to money. Also, people say that, like, it's scientifically proven that our money story, like how we are influenced, it actually goes back over 3 generations. And that is something so interesting. I actually learned that only last year, where I thought, oh, wow, you know, of course we know, I mean, we get things passed down and, you know, of course the past generations influence us, but in particular towards money, it was something new for me. And it was like, oh, wow. Just to give a little example, when great-grandparents were really rich, they had it all, were wealthy, and then there are quite a few people who experienced that then there was a war or some happenings so that actually the grandparents lost everything. And it can be that then there is this feeling, this worry that if I get successful, I will lose it all again. So if I'll manage to make a lot of money, I will lose it again. And that fear subconsciously can hold you back to actually become rich or create more money. And yeah, that is so interesting. Like,
right? As opposed to fear of failure.
Yeah, yeah.
In a way. Like, I don't want to have success, or I don't want to have all that money, and subconsciously resisting, because if I have it, then I might lose it.
Exactly. And at the end, you know, no matter what money block it is, at the end, it is all about what do you feel safe with? Because our mind's number one's job is make us survive on this planet by keeping us safe. And safe means, yeah, staying in what we learned, staying in the familiar. But that is exactly the opposite of growth. And so when we want to change, when we want to shift into a different situation in life or become a different person, also when we want to create a different financial situation for us or make more money, we need to, on a deep level, get ourselves to feeling safe with that. So for example, you know, maybe you get a job offer with 10,000 salary a month, you know, or you get a client who says, oh, I'm going to pay you 20,000 full and upfront working with you half year. So many, like, consciously you feel like, oh, wow, that's amazing. Of course, I'm going to take that job, you know, but subconsciously, or your nervous system is very often about to freak out because that's something, oh my God, you know, how should that work? How can I give such a valuable transformation? How can I do my job so good, you know?
I think it could even be before that. It's like, I wouldn't be even putting myself in a situation that would even happen, because you already don't feel that, sabotage it so that it doesn't
Exactly.
you don't even get the
Yes.
offers.
Yes. But when you imagine that, you can literally tune into your body's reaction and feel like, wow, there's something within me that feels like shit scared, you know, that feels like so uncomfortable and unsafe
100%.
with it.
Yeah. I really think it's so important to do this kind of the visualizing work as well.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to add is, when it comes to the topic of money blocks and money trauma, is that our strongest and most common blocks that hold us back is feeling not worthy and not good enough of money, of riches, feeling like we don't deserve it, you know, because we are not worthy of it, because we don't feel good enough. And the worthiness, the feeling not good enough, I mean, that's underlying many, many issues, most of our issues actually, but also when it comes to money.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I'm thinking about when someone is constantly dysregulated, right? Someone is struggling with their mental health and with their wellness and their well-being, and they're constantly dysregulated. Staying safe is going to be the primary like focus. I want
Yeah.
to regulate the system and I want to stay safe. So then when you then add in the money piece and the scarcity and the lack, and it's a constant survival, it's constantly being dysregulated, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that
That's a lot of stress.
it is a lot of stress on the system and it is a lot of dysregulation. And it
Yeah.
seems like a bit of a catch-22 and a bit of a cycle. But I feel that if there is some space that can be created or that can be made to work on the money piece and the money mindset and the money blocks so that you can feel safer in those areas, because I think they do have in our world, right, unfortunately, such a huge impact on us, right? And so I feel that, let's say, like, you know, like there's anxiety and there's the traumas and there's the this and the that and all these different things are coming, like, let's say, affecting our system. And then you have the money piece too, but it really does factor in as a big like stressor, right?
Yeah,
And
true.
so I think that as much as we do work on the anxiety and the traumas, this is a big piece of it that does warrant, you know.
And I mean, it all is tied together, right? It's all linked.
Okay, so if someone was to come, what kind of, I know you work with coaching and stuff, but if someone was to come to you with money mindset stuff, money blocks, they're like, okay, I really know now, I can see now based on the things that I've heard that I'm in like scarcity mode. I'm just stuck. I really need to get out of it. What does your work look like? What kind of, how would you?
Yeah. So first of all, I would check with that person again if it's really what they presume, because we can think a lot from our conscious mind. But I learned from my experience, but also especially from RTT, which is a method that goes so deep that very often, like, I don't like presumptions, because we actually very often don't know what's really underneath unless we go very deep. And yeah, so for me, the first step is actually not even focusing on the money. Before I dive in, I like to say that when we want to make more money, when we want to work on our relationship to money, we actually need to focus less on money and we need to focus more on who we are being, because it's exactly what you said, you know, it's a state of being. It's our energy that really matters. And it has so much to do about how can we feel better? How can we relax more, you know? So yeah, the first step when I work with a client is always connecting to oneself and settling in your own energy. Because before we go deep into really looking at what is your money story and money blocks and, you know, all the things, the fears and all that, first, we need to learn to connect deeper to ourselves so that you can get a feeling for, you know, your heart, your energy. What is this divine spark within you? You know, I believe we are all spiritual beings having this earthly experience, and we have this divine spark within us. We have this place in our heart where there is, you know, our mission, where there's passion, where we know that we matter. We know we are worthy. We know we are here for more. Right? And this energy, this drive, this excitement that you can discover within yourself, I believe this life force energy is the same energy as money. So we need to first connect deeply to ourselves also, because we need to get to know ourselves better, you know, our values. We need to get clarity around what makes me feel good, what drains me in general, but also in my daily life. What is it that really matters to me? What do I love doing? And what are the things I just do them because someone told me? To really getting clearer around who you are and what you are here for and how you can really ground yourself, settle in your own energy. That is my absolutely first step when I work with someone.
Okay. Now, I know what I would say to this, but I would like to hear you articulate it. You mentioned something. You said that the life energy, the life force energy is the money energy. And then for people who maybe don't know, how is feeling good and doing the things that you love and tapping into the things that light you up and connecting to yourself, how is that connected to making more money?
Yeah.
Can you articulate the connection there for those who don't know?
Yeah. So first of all, money is of course way more than this physical, you know, notes and coins that we have here. Money is this tool of exchange that we have in the world here. But there's way more to it. Money is an energy, and money likes to flow. Money likes to go where there's a good vibe. That is why rich people, they get richer so easily, right? Not just because they've got the right job or business, but it's because they are in the right vibe. They have the right mindset. They really have a wealthy mindset. And also, that's why poor people, very often they stay poor, or it's just they face challenges and financial difficulties over and over again because the energy, the fear, the tension, the worries, the scarcity, they live that. And at the end, everything is energy. And also our thoughts, our vibe. And yes, of course, also money is energy.
I wanted to articulate why it is important to know to get into this better energy, the things that light you up, the things that make you feel good.
Yeah.
Because I think so many people are unaware of the fact that I'm trying to think of other words other than the vibration, but like the whole idea of matching vibration, of the higher the vibration you are, the more like, okay. So there was this thing that I did once. I don't remember if it was with you, but it could have been with someone else, that they said, like, if you were to personify money, so when you're trying to really get clear on your relationship with money and how you've been treating money and how you've been seeing money. So I was like, okay, if money was a person,
that was like, me, yeah.
I was like, was that with you? I was like, oh shit, like I really abused, like I was abusive to money.
Yeah.
If it was a person, like that person would want to be as far away from me as possible.
Yeah. We did that. I remember.
I didn't abuse, like as in I demonized money. I hated money. I thought money was the cause of all of my problems, like growing up, and so money must be like, geez, I'm going to stay away from that bitch. Like I'm not going anywhere near her. And so that's what interestingly, so I have had like access to money. So there's something else there as well. But the idea with now healing, other layers of my money box and things like that, I found that to be such a powerful tool and an exercise, right? Because if you really think about how you've been thinking about money and treating money in and of itself, you'd be like, would they even want to hang out with you?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
that is
money
so
want to be
powerful.
around you,
Yeah.
And I feel that that's a piece that people really don't hear about. So it's not as like I think from in our world it's quite mainstream now. Like we know this stuff, but we study it all the time, right? So I'm thinking like if people aren't online learning about this stuff all the time, like they have no idea that the way they're thinking about money and approaching money is what's keeping it away,
Yeah. So there are actually different layers to it. I would say, one layer is our mind. As I said, our thoughts are energy, but also our thoughts, they create pictures in our mind, and our thoughts, they create our feelings. And depending on how we feel, we act. So if you have different thoughts in your mind, you feel differently. If you can, calm down, if you feel better, if you have more joy, if you relax more, if you can do more things in your life that you really love, if you can enjoy little moments, then we open our mind up, literally, for new opportunities. We see different things, and we are open also for creativity, for inspiration, for opportunities, That's where we are open when we are in a better state of mind. And that influences how we feel, of course. And then our heart is open, means our energy is open. And I'm sure everyone here, no matter what you do or which stage you are at, or if you've done some work on your money mindset or if this is new for you, I'm sure you've experienced moments in your life where you just feel good. It's like your heart is open and it's overflowing. You feel the joy and you feel the gratitude and you feel like, wow, this is so good. And then suddenly something happens where you feel like, wow, things just fall into place, Where did this come from? It just aligned. It just happened. That is not by coincidence or randomly. That's because you were in a better energy. And so very often when we are drained and tense and we have this negative chatter in our mind going on top of that, something happens, something negative, where we feel like, why the hell do we need this on top of already a difficult situation? It's because you are in it. Really? We attract according to the state of mind and the energy that we are in.
I was going to say, I heard something so good about this exact thing that you're saying now. It was whatever you're saying, like whatever you're putting out there, the universe will just say yes. So if you're
Yeah,
like, if you're saying,
exactly.
like, I want more money or I want more ease, then the universe will say, yes, you do want it. And it will keep giving you more of
Yes,
wanting it.
yes,
It won't
yes,
give you
yes.
more of it. It will like, I want more of something. It'll be like, yes, you do want more. And it will keep perpetuate that.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
if you're like, oh my God, this is so awesome. And I'm really grateful for this. And I'm loving what I'm doing. Then the universe will say, yes, you do love it. And yes, and they'll give you more of like, whatever it is that you're putting out there, it's gonna kind of reaffirm and give you more of.
I love that you say that. And that is where we have to consider, though, that the universe gives us not just from what we consciously want or think of, but our subconscious beliefs and fears, they play a role as well. And this is why very often we can actually send out mixed messages to the universe. You know, in our conscious mind, we can do all the work, we have affirmations, and we feel like, wow, I'm abundant, you know, things are flowing. But underneath, or sometimes you catch yourself to have such a fear, you know, when maybe you check your bank account or when you make a purchase that, you know, money wouldn't last or yeah, whatever it is. And that, yeah, that keeps you stuck basically because it's not a clear message. It's not, yeah, it's not a straight line, you know?
No, I mean, I think that's the whole thing with affirmations. You have to believe it. So if you're walking around saying like, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm
You
rich,
have
but you
to
don't believe
feel
it.
it.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
actually like, you have to like really feel it. Ugh, yes. Okay. So how would you recommend then that people start doing this? Because I think conscious level, okay, we understand that, but the subconscious,
Yeah.
is there a tip? Is there an exercise? Is there something that you can recommend?
Yes, for sure. And this is a question that I hear often, you know, how can we shift? How can we shift into prosperity, into feeling this abundance when actually we experience scarcity in our daily life? Or, you know, there are so many people, they don't have enough money and they do have to, like, they do struggle and they do have to really think of what they spend their money on. And I'm not at the stage where I have to total financial abundance, you know, like not yet. So what can we do? As I said at the beginning, focus less on the money and more on who you actually are, your vibe. Because in your daily life, in your situation, there are so many things that you value, that bring you joy, that you are grateful for, right? No matter where you are, there is something. Let it be your children, or can be only some flowers, or, you know, like, yeah, relationships, or maybe that you are healthy and you feel good with your body, or that you have good food on the table, or that the sun is shining and you can go for an amazing walk, or maybe you can go to the beach and swim in the ocean. Like, there are so many things that make us feel good and that open our heart and that relax us more, you know? And it's really a matter of practicing to shift our focus, onto what we have and what we want more of, you know, instead of looking at all the things that we don't have and that don't work and where we struggle. When it comes to money, you can think about all the money that you have or that you have received throughout your life. All the things that were possible for you throughout your entire life thanks to money. And even if you think you don't have much now, you have received a lot of money, gifts, you know, whatever throughout your life. And when you shift that, like when you shift your focus and your thinking, you can suddenly get a feeling, oh wow, actually there's so much that brings me joy, you know. I have received so much and actually there is a lot. And it's not just about money. And also when it comes to, you know, paying your bills, you don't pay for nothing. Shift your focus from all the money that's going out, everything you have to pay, to what do you receive in return? Because you do receive something. And even if it's just your electricity bill, you receive electricity. How amazing is it that you have that? You wouldn't want to be without it, you know? Or if it's maybe for your internet or your phone or petrol in the car, you know? You wouldn't want to be without it. So when you pay that, you can find the gratitude actually for paying that because you are truly grateful for what you receive in return. And it does take practice. I'm not saying it just works like that and overnight. It's a journey and it takes practice. But you can start where you're at, like we all start somewhere. Just start where you're at in little steps. practice your awareness around where you are at, and then shift your focus from the money that's going out, the things that you don't have, what's not working, towards what you have and how amazing all the things are that you receive, what you pay for. And that will create a different feeling, and you will enjoy your life more and you will feel better. And that is the whole energy, from which you can continue the journey that then, allows more money and riches and other things to flow into your life.
I love it. And I think it's a very, very important piece. And yes, 100%. There's something that I wanted to share. There was a coach that I follow. I'm hoping she'll be on the podcast as well soon. We'll see. So I won't mention any names right now, but I do remember one of her stories was how she was a single mom on benefits. And now that she is a successful business owner, she enjoys paying taxes, and she paid taxes from the minute that she had, because she knew that those taxes were going to help people like her that had to have benefits. And she's like, I happily pay my taxes. And I think the energy behind that's the piece, right? Like, that's it.
Yes, that's the thing. We can't force money to come to us by working harder, or forcing to get another job with a higher salary, or forcing clients to pay us more, or things like that. It just doesn't work. We need to really look within us, where we are at with our thoughts and our energy. And the nice thing is that is under control, right? What is within us is under our control, and that is where we can practice and do the work and really shift ourselves. And that is what's going to create results in our outside reality.
I love it. I also love that a gratitude practice is scientifically proven to improve mental health and well-being anyway.
It is
so
powerful.
It's a win-win. It will bring you more money too.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
No, I think that it definitely is a journey. There are a lot of different layers to it, and it is a lot of work that goes into shifting your money stories and your money blocks. But I think that is a beautiful first step and entry point for people who are wanting to start working on it. Jara, thank you. You are amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your time with us today. If anyone wants to reach out to Jara and find her and work with her and see what she's up to, her links will be here wherever it is on this platform that you're listening on. Thank you to everyone listening in. Hope you find our conversation helpful and inspiring and enlightening as much as I did. If you enjoy this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on your favorite platform. Your support helps me reach more listeners, hopefully make a bigger impact. Jara and I would also love to hear from you. What was your biggest takeaway from today? What did you learn that you otherwise hadn't heard before, or something that we'd love to hear these things? And that's it. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay tuned for more episodes coming your way. Jara, thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Love everyone.